Praise the Lord, saints. I just want to get on here and move just a little bit closer and just kind of talk with you. Have a little casual conversation with you. You know, we do this sometimes. And I just preached a good word to you from the Lord, talking about the heart of the servant. But I just want to talk now to you casually. And I want to talk about how the enemy thought he had me, church, because I was, woke up this morning with my mind stayed on Jesus. Had a good message in mind to talk about the heart of the servant. And while I was sitting there teaching about the heart of the servant, the enemy thought he had me and tried to use somebody to taunt me on this morning. But we know that no weapon formed against us shall prosper, and every tongue that rises against us, it shall be condemned, church. So, anywho, I said, man, look at the devil talking crazy. And this particular person was talking about money, the old okie doke that the enemy love to use. They fell for that trap, unfortunately, like a lot of people do. And some of y'all probably said, well, we've been talking about money a lot in these teachings about the heart of the servant. Look at me, I'm still talking about the heart of the servant, y'all. The teaching series, Lord, I love you more than anything. We talked about money in a couple of them broadcasts. Excuse me, because Jesus honestly talked a lot about money. If you look at the Gospels, he warned a lot about money. Because money can really make a fool out of you if you let it, church. And that's why we have to guard our hearts from all types of greed and things. And money can really mess you up. And that's why the enemy loves to use it, because, people will sell their own mama out in a minute for some money. Okay, if they not walking with God, they'll sell out easily. And even people, like the scriptures say, who have been walking with God, some have erred concerning the faith because they begin to become covetous. So I just wanted to get on here and just, like I said, talk with y'all for a minute about this, about the bogusness of how people are still falling for that old okie doke when it comes down to the trap of the coin. And it's honestly not worth it, y'all. So I'm over here reaching for my notes, because I told y'all at the beginning of the year I was studying Ecclesiastes, and just focusing on King Solomon, who was the writer and whatnot, and the things that he said in that book are very, very powerful things. And some people don't understand the book of Ecclesiastes. It is a book of wisdom, and you have these different facets of the king's life here, and different areas and things that he tried. Okay, he uses the word I tested. And one of the things in chapter 1, he spoke from his perspective of life, and he talked about vanity of human wisdom. And he said a life lived without God is really, he says a life lived without God is not really life. When God is not the center, life is meaningless. Okay, he said in order to truly live and enjoy the life that Jesus came to give us, he has to be the center of it. And that's really what we've been talking about here is, Lord, I love you more than anything. But really looking deeper into that thing, like, but do I really, church? And no shame in your game. Okay, you can't walk around being fake with God. That's the reality here. So you have to have these moments where you sit back and you examine yourself. And just like the last teaching out of Joshua, where he said to choose you this day whom ye will serve, church. You can't serve the God of this world and then think you gonna make it into the kingdom, with the Lord. No, you're not. So he says the vanity, going back to Solomon, the vanity is him showing the side of life without God. And then he speaks of laboring in vain, talking about never being satisfied. And ain't that the truth? This is the hamster wheel, church, going in circles, yet never getting anywhere. As Solomon said, like grasping wind. And all of that only leaves you with a sense of emptiness that he says is meaningless. And the reason why is because God has made us to desire him and him alone. So nothing can fill that void. Nothing can fill that emptiness that's in the heart that has been designed for God and only God, okay, to provide that sense of fulfillment to our lives. He made it that way, y'all. But a lot of times we let pride get in the way, and ultimately we just end up again going in circles, grasping wind, y'all. And this person, that I'm talking about, they're going through this because chapter 2, the vanity of wealth. Okay, the idolizing of wealth, the sitting up thinking about what you can do, with an abundance of this, that, and the other, with money, just like the young rich ruler. He had great possessions because he had money to be able to get those things. But those things cannot fulfill or could not fulfill this man's life with the peace and joy, the abundance of things that God himself wants to give. And that's why you have people like the Amazon man. I ain't gonna say his name because they might try and copyright me or something or ban me. I don't know. But y'all know him, the Amazon man. That man don't know what to do with all that money. He bought up everything under the sun, and he don't know what to do with his coins. So he keep flying back and forth to the moon and whatnot, popping bottles because this man is empty inside. But those who, not walking with the Lord, they sit up and lust after that. And they say, oh, he's living the life. Ooh, and they want that. They want them pleasures and them treasures. But going back to Solomon in chapter 2, he's testing that theory that life is found in more and varied or variety of pleasures and entertainments and excitements and things. But Solomon said the more you have, the mentality of the more you have, the better. Solomon said that mentality is nothing more than vanity. Therefore, it is meaningless, church. So he tested these things. He tested the life lived for laughter, pleasure, fun. And at the end of it all, he judged it to be complete madness, church. He said a life of gratifying the flesh accomplishes nothing. So Solomon concluded that life lived for earthly pleasures and accomplishments is meaningless. It's vanity because there's no sense of eternal meaning to those things. The soul seeks after those things and is never satisfied because it forgets God. So materialism is fatalism, church. And this is deep on today. So it's sad to see, this person go down that rabbit hole and they, try to taunt me with. But it's like, oh, no. I'm wrapped up, tied up. Okay, and Jesus the Christ and him alone being enough for me. Because like Solomon and most of us, we tried that other stuff. And it didn't satisfy, okay? And that's the whole point. That's why God gives us free will. He said, go ahead, try it. It's not going to satisfy you because the way I built you is to desire me. Now, some people go their whole life and they go in circles, and unfortunately they die and they go to hell because they never received the truth of God, because they were still on that that hamster wheel, y'all. Whew, I feel like preaching on today. So it kind of reminds me, Judge, if I could just take you on over real fast to Matthew chapter. This is freestyle preaching, y'all. I didn't even plan this. But anyway, there's a parable where Jesus talks about this rich man and this poor man, and how the rich man ended up in hell and the poor man ended up in heaven. And the rich man was begging Father Abraham to allow the poor man Lazarus to bring him some water. If he could just dip his finger. This is how pathetic this man was. He said he could just dip his finger in some water and just put it on my tongue to cool me off, because hell is hot. He said that would just be lovely. And one more thing, Abraham, if this poor man Lazarus could, if he could, or if you could go and tell my brothers, because see, I got some brothers that's still living. If y'all could just warn them about this place of torment, that would be good too. And the Lord, this is Jesus talking in this parable. And I wish I could find it, y'all, because I don't want to lose time here. But, okay, church, I found it. It was in Luke. I'm sorry, not Matthew. So anyway, you have this story found in Luke chapter 16. Now, listen to what Abraham told this man in verse 25. He says, but Abraham says, son, remember that thou in thy lifetime receiveth thy good things, and likewise Lazarus evil things, but now he is comforted and thou art tormented. He says, and beside all this, between us and you, there is a great gulf fixed, so that they which would pass from hence to you cannot, neither can they pass to us that would come from thence. Now he's telling him that, jumping down here, he says, look, if they did not hear Moses and the prophets, neither will they be persuaded though one rose from the dead. This is so deep on today, church. This is so deep. He says, come on now. But if one went unto them from the dead, that man thought they would repent. But he heard otherwise. Okay, these folks are not persuaded. It's not going to persuade them. And that's unfortunate. Now, in this text here, you notice how he told him that in thy lifetime thou receivest good things. He was talking about all them pleasures and treasures and things that this rich man had that he enjoyed, to the point where he enjoyed it so much he felt he didn't need God. And then this poor man, used to eat the crumbs that fell from this man's table. This man had that one-timeness. He didn't even have a heart to even want to help a brother out, y'all. And a lot of times when people want riches and things, they want to attain that. They have that mentality. They're not trying to help a brother out, okay? They're not trying to help a sister out. They want it for themselves so that they could go ahead and gratify and satisfy their flesh. That's the sensuality, church, okay, that we got to be careful with, because that's what wantonness is, okay? It's attached to the sensual, the ones who go after the desires and the things. So, ending this little casual conversation we having, because we're coming to the end of the time, y'all. I know, boo. Somebody want to keep talking. Well, come on back with me and we can continue. Because I do want to do a whole teaching on Ecclesiastes and break this thing down for you. I just want to remind you on today, church, as we continue to talk about Lord, I love you more than anything, that we continue to set our focus on Jesus. Because there's a lot of temptation out here. But just continue to realize that only what you do for Christ will last, church. And the things that you're going after in this present life, they're all temporary. But your soul is going to live on forever. And you see that with this rich man. He should have thought twice, because he had opportunity. Okay, because all will. Before the Lord call you up out of here, He's going to give you an opportunity to get to know Him. So there it is. I just wanted to casually talk with y'all on today. So be blessed, and I'll catch you next time.